This is Veena Shadna Basatia and my partner is Ijlal, and we are both doing the thermometer science together. So let's start the video. And so yeah, this is the depiction of the room that we have shown, and the dimensions of the room are given to be as 4 meters by 4 meters by 5 meters, as you can see here. And there's a radiator in the room, which are given as 1 meter by 1 meter by 0.1 meter. And we can see that there's a flow of pipe. There's a pipe going in the radiator, then in the pump, then the boiler, then the main pipe. And there are four states after each subsystem of this water. So let's see these states. And let's see that before going to the radiator, the state is 1. And the state is defined as the temperature is 99.63 degrees and pressure is 1 bar. It should be noted that this temperature is the saturation temperature at pressure of 1 bar. And since the heat to be lost from the radiator is the latent heat of vaporization, so we can also see that this is a two-phase mixture and the quality is 1. That means it is at the saturated vapor line as shown over here in the temperature volume graph. So this is 1. And as you move above over 2, now the latent heat of vaporization is lost, and hence the state is defined by these three quantities, that is same temperature and pressure, but the quality becomes 0. So now this is at the saturated liquid line over here. State 3 is defined to be as after the pump. So after the pump, this increases pressure and takes in electric work. So pressure is increased to 2 bar, that is it jumps an isobar from 1 bar to 2 bar, and the temperature is defined to be 115, which is less than the saturation temperature at this isobar, and hence this is our state 3. Now we've defined state 4, which is after the boiler, which again takes in work and increases the temperature to be 125 degrees Celsius and 2 bar. So it remains on the same isobar, but the temperature increases, and from a subcooled liquid, it becomes a superheated vapor. And then from 4 to 1, it flows in the pipe to back to the radiator, and hence we complete the cycle. Now, so first of all, we will be focusing on this part, which is the heat radiated by the radiator as the room is heated from 5 to all of these values, right? So how do we start is basically we start with an initial room temperature, which is 5, and we give the specific internal energy at this room temperature, as we have considered our air to be ideal gas, and we have used table A22 to find this energy, right? So the final temperature, the area of final temperature is defined, and similarly, specific internal energies are found over here. The difference in internal energy is the del U, but this is again specific, and we need the mass of the air in the room. How do we find that? We can find the specific volume using the ideal gas law, as we know the pressure, temperature, molar mass from the table A1 and R, and we can plug all of these values to find the specific volume and hence the mass of air. And when we multiply this mass of air by the del U, we know the total change in energy. Now the room, which we showed, had no other inlets or outlets of heat. So all the total change in energy to produce this change in temperature is from the heat radiated by the heater. So let's plot this heat radiated by the heater over here. And as we can see, if we want to change our room temperature from 5 to 10 degrees, this is the final temperature. So we need approximately 0.3-ish kilojoules of heat from the radiator. While if we want to move our temperature from 5 to 30 degrees, we need approximately 1.7-ish kilojoules of energy. Right? So now we will move on to the radiator. And how do we move on? So now we'll move on to the radiator. So this is the front of the radiator. And as we know, these pipes are coming from the pipe and these pipes are going into the pump. And this is coming at a temperature of 99.63 and they're also leaving at the same temperature. And these give this heat of vaporization to the radiator, which is made up of stainless steel. And the radiator gives this heat to the room by radiation. But the rate of both of these heat transfers is the same, and hence we equate these over here, and we equate these in the formula over here. And now we know that Tr is equals to unknown, which is the temperature of the radiator, while T room is equals to known, and it is 5 degrees Celsius. But it will not stay 5, it will change from 5 to various endpoints that we have. So we'll find the intermediate value of room temperature for each case in the code as I'll show. And this is the Q conduction, and which is the Ts is basically your temperature of the steam, which is 99.63 and remains constant while Tr is again to be found. So in this equation, Tr is an unknown, while the other constants will be found as shown in the code, and we'll find Tr so basically from this equation. So let's see how we have done that. First, we have found out the intermediate temperature for each case to minimize the errors, and we have found the emissivity and conductivity K using assuming that this is stainless steel from the internet. And the Boltzmann constant is as follows: the length is the length between the pipe and the surface of the radiator, and we have, for simplicity, we have assumed the surface area of steam pipes and the radiators to be the same. So our temperature of steam is as follows, and here we find the 5 different temperature of radiators for the 5 different endpoints. And these are the found temperature of radiators, which I have assembled again in an array over here. So now when we have this temperature of radiator, we can easily find the rate of change of the heat, the rate of flow of heat from the radiator to the room, as we know the temperature of radiator, we know the temperature of the room. So this is all known, and we can easily plug in the values of constant to find this. Now we also know the rate for each case. This rate is given in this array, and we also know the total energy in each case. So we can easily find the time, and the time will just be the total energy that is radiated to the rate of energy that is radiated. And we multiply by 1000 for converting from kilojoules to joules, and we plot a time of a graph of the time. So as we can see, if we want to move our room temperature from 5 to a final temperature of 10, it will approximately take 10 minutes. While if we want to reach a room temperature of 30 degrees from a temperature of 5 degrees, it will take approximately 46-ish minutes. So that is how it is going. Okay, so now moving on, we want to also find out the flow of mass through the radiator, flow of mass of the steam through the radiator. And we will assume that this mass flow is the same through the pump, through the boiler, and through the pipe as well. So now we know the states of steam leaving and entering the radiator, and hence we can apply the first law over here. But for the first law of thermodynamics of open systems, we will also use the assumption in which we say that the kinetic and potential energies of the mass are not changed. Moreover, we can also say that there is no work done. So only this will be the reduced form, and moreover, it's at a steady state. So this will be the reduced form of internal energy. Reduced from the first law. And here we have Q dot, which will be the Q radiation from the heater to the room, and this will be the M dot H in minus H out. So H in minus H out is easily replaced by HFG because the only heat that is lost is latent heat of vaporization, and from quality of 1 it goes to a quality of 0. So we simply find the M dot, and we find this to be different for each case. That is, if you want to go from 5 to 10, it is this. If you want to go from 5 to 30, it is this. So Ijlal will continue from over here.
My name is Mohammad Ijlal, and I will be carrying out the later part of the explanation of the major assignment. So Fatma explained that how we got to the M dot, and we found M dot. So M dot is basically same for all the subsystems as it is in steady state, and as mass is going in pump from the radiator and then to the boiler. So for the analysis of the pump, we know the entering and exiting state, and from the table we took the enthalpies of it, and by the help of first law equation that simplified by some assumptions which we took as that kinetic energy is same as inflow and outflow mass is same, potential energy is same, and we know M dot H in H out and states from the table, so we get W for each state. So here you can see after multiplying WC dot pump by time, we get WC V pump. So we plotted the energy power consumption of the pump for each desired value. So for 10 degrees we need about 38 kilojoules of energy work, and it is a linear graph we can see from here. So We also found H out for the boiler. So again, for the analysis of the boiler, we knew the states of it, and we know that it's adiabatic, so there was no Q loss. So again, using this formula and multiplying it by 1000 to convert it into kilojoules, we get the values of WCV dot boiler, and to get WCV boiler we had to multiply it by time. So we get the values for 10 degrees, 15 degrees, 20 degrees, 25 and 30 degrees. So again we plot the power consumption of boiler for each value of the desired temperature. So again we see that it's a linear graph, and for 30 we need about 1580 kilojoules of energy, while for 10 degrees we need about 250 something kilojoules. So again, so for the next part we had to calculate the total electric work and that was taken by the boiler and pump. So we added both and divided by 1000, and as our electric units are in R, we had to divide by 3600 to get the units in kilowatt hours, and 5.71 is the price of each electric unit. So we received the electric cost for 10 degrees, 15, 20, 25 and 30 respectively. So we plotted this graph for a cost of electricity, which is in rupees, for each desired temperature. So to reach from 5 degrees to 10 degrees we need about 0.6 rupees. For 15 we need about 1.1, and for all the way to 30 we need about 2.7 degrees. So again we know that this is a linear graph. If you want to increase the temperature from way beyond 30, the graph will follow a linear trend. So we had to calculate the efficiency for each subsystem. So again Wn, which is the total, which is the work of boiler and pump combined. So we calculated this for each desired value, and for the workout we subtracted the del U from the Wn. So the efficiency was about the same for each desired value. So we got it about 98.22%, which is exactly the same for each desired temperature that we need. So we also plotted the PV diagrams for it. So first we had this system, from which we know that from we have a radiator, a pump, a pipe and a boiler. So first we plotted a TV graph, and by the help of it we plotted a PV graph. So from 1 to 2 we can see that this is the radiator part, and Q, we receive Q out, and the temperature is not changing from it's 99.6 degrees, and this is liquid water. So we input the work, that is the pump, and the temperature rises to 115 degrees, and then 3 to 4 is our boiler part, and again it converts to superheated vapor. So here are the other values: Wn, Q out, Wn of pump, Wn of boiler, and Q out from the radiator. pressure remains same of 1 bar, and for the 5 to 30 degree centigrade, everything remains the same except for the values of W in pump, W in boiler, and the radiator. So thank you very much, and Allah Hafiz.